Imagine taking a group of, elite multi-million-dollar professional athletes, putting blindfolds over their eyes, and just forcing them to navigate this chaotic obstacle course made out of chairs and tables inside a hotel ballroom.
Right, which sounds completely ridiculous at first.
Exactly. It sounds like some bizarre corporate team-building retreat or something. But that isn't a game. That is the actual desperate, real-world training regimen for the Canadian men's national team right now.
Yeah, and it is a phenomenal psychological intervention, honestly, because when you were preparing for literally the highest stakes in global sports, you have to find out exactly who communicates when the lights go out. I mean, literally go out.
Right, and the stakes just, they simply do not get higher than right now, because today is June 3, 2026.
It's finally here.
It is. The expanded 48-team 104-match FIFA World Cup is just days away. And for the co-hosts, affectionately known as Les Rouges, the underlying swagger that you'd usually see from a host nation, that's just completely gone. It has been replaced by this, manic, fever-pitch desperation.
Which, to be fair, is completely understandable when you look at their historical record. We are talking about a nation whose World Cup resume is basically a clean, painful sweep of nothing.
Just zeros across the board.
Exactly. 0 wins, 0 points. They have never gotten a single result in the history of the men's tournament.
It's a completely blank slate, yet the expectations on home soil right now are absolutely off the charts.
Oh, the pressure is immense.
So for you listening, whether you're, a die-hard soccer fanatic already painting your face red, or you're just trying to figure out why your entire neighborhood is suddenly draped in red and white and screaming at their TVs, we've designed this deep dive just for you.
Absolutely.
We've gone through this massive stack of sports articles, tactical blueprints, and historical stats to basically build your ultimate guide to Canada's World Cup squad. We're going to explore their radical new tactical identity, uncover some glaring vulnerabilities that are threatening to derail their entire campaign, and predict exactly how they'll fare in what is a highly competitive Group B.
Yeah, because this is a squad caught perfectly between immense potential and just catastrophic risk.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to understand why this specific team is generating so much hype, we really have to talk about the culture shock that just hit them. And that shock has a name. Jesse Marsch.
Right. The American head coach who took over back in May 2024 and, recently extended his contract through to 2030.
Yeah.
And Marsch, he didn't just tweak the existing team philosophy. He initiated a complete tactical teardown of everything they had been building for the last decade.
Right, because before Marsch, under their former coach, John Herdman, Canada, was trying to play this elegant possession-based style. Like, they wanted the ball at their feet.
Yeah, very methodical.
Exactly. They wanted to meticulously build out from the back, string together 20 passes just to move up the field. But Marsch came in and basically tossed that playbook straight into the shredder. So why the massive pivot?
Well, it's because Marsch brought receipts to his very first meeting with the team. He showed them a rather damning statistic, actually. He pointed out that over 70% of the goals Canada had previously conceded, and that includes those really heartbreaking defensive breakdowns at the 2022 World Cup in Qatar.
Oh, those were rough to watch.
They really were.
Yeah.
But he showed that over 70% of those goals stemmed directly from turnovers during their own possession.
Over 70%. So they were basically just handing the ball to the opponent and saying, here, please score on us.
Pretty much, yeah. Because when you play a slow possession-based game, your team naturally expands to use the whole field, right?
Okay, right.
Your fullbacks push high up the wings. Your center backs spread really far apart to give the goalkeeper passing options. So if you lose the ball while you are in that expanded shape, you are incredibly vulnerable.
Because everyone is so far apart.
Exactly. There are massive pockets of empty grass everywhere. And Marsch realized that Canada simply didn't have the flawless technical perfection required to play that way against global powerhouses. I mean, they were making these small mistakes, and elite teams were just punishing them instantly.
Wow. So his solution is this new system that literally everyone in the sports media is obsessing over right now, the Maple Press.
The Maple Press, yes. It's a highly specialized, high-intensity 4-4-2 system that is entirely focused on what tacticians call vertical transitions.
Okay, so for the listener who might not watch soccer every single weekend, break down vertical transitions. What does that actually look like on the grass?
It basically means the second they win the ball, they do not pass it
So
sideways.
resetting.
Right, they do not pass it backward to reset. They move the ball straight up the field, vertically, as fast as humanly possible. They don't want to hold the ball for 3 minutes. They want to draw you in, form this compact defensive block, and then aggressively hunt the ball down in packs.
But wait, if they lack the technical perfection to just hold the ball, what makes Marsh think they have the flawless stamina to press elite European teams for 90 minutes without just, totally collapsing? I mean, that sounds like a suicide mission.
And that is the exact gamble he's taking. Marsh is very openly modeling this on the 2002 South Korean national team that Gus Hiddink coached.
Oh, right. The one that made that crazy run?
Exactly. South Korea didn't have the most technically gifted players in that tournament, but they had relentless physical conditioning. They simply outran and outworked teams like Italy and Spain to reach the semifinals. So Marsh is betting everything that Canada can replicate that exact blueprint.
Wow. So to give you an analogy, listener, it's like Marsh looked at this roster and realized he was basically coaching a hockey team playing on grass.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. He doesn't want them trying to execute pretty elegant drop passes in the neutral zone. He wants them playing dump and chase. He wants raw physical trekking, closing down space instantly, and relying on just pure speed to overwhelm the defense before they can even set up.
That is a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And it actually brings us right back to that blindfolded obstacle course in Bucharest.
Right. The ball raid.
Yeah. In a chaotic system like the Maple Press, where everyone's just sprinting and swarming, if you aren't talking constantly to your teammates, two players run into the same space, the press breaks, and the opponent scores.
So it's about trust.
Entirely. In that hotel ballroom, Ismail Cohn and Ali Ahmed, they couldn't rely on sight. They had to rely entirely on the voices of their teammates guiding them. It ingrained this absolute non-negotiable need for vocal trust.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because you mentioned sprinting and swarming, and the sheer athleticism of this squad is, frankly, terrifying. I mean, a chaotic system only works if you have absolute freaks of nature to execute it right.
You need elite athletes for sure.
And Marsh dropped a stat recently that completely blew my mind. He said that in his entire managerial career, and we're talking about coaching in top European leagues like the Bundesliga and the Premier League, he had only ever coached 6 players who could hit a sprint speed of 37 kilometers per hour. Right. But on this Canadian roster, he has 9.
9 players hitting 37 kilometers an hour. I mean, to put that in perspective, that is the kind of world-class, terrifying pace that forces opposing coaches to change their entire game plan.
You literally can't plan for it normally.
No, you cannot play a high defensive line against Canada, or those 9 players will simply run past you like you were standing still.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the guys actually doing the punishing out there. Up top, you've got Jonathan David playing his club soccer for Juventus. He's basically the ultimate pressing forward. I mean, he has 39 international goals. But it's really what he does without the ball that matters in this system, right?
Exactly. He is the trigger. The Maple Press does not start until Jonathan David decides to sprint at the opposing center back. Once he goes, the entire team follows.
Like a domino effect.
Yes. And behind him, you have Steven Eustachio from LAFC. Eustachio operates as the midfield pivot.
And by midfield pivot, you mean he's kind of like the hinge connecting the defense to the attack?
Precisely. While the speedsters are doing all the sprinting, Eustachio sits in the middle, acting as the tactical brain. He's reading the game, deciding where to funnel the opponent.
He's the anchor.
Right. And next to him is Ismail Cohen from Sassuolo, providing this dynamic, relentless box-to-box intensity. And then out wide, that's where you unleash those 37-kilometer-an-hour speed demons, like Tijan Buchanan and Liam Miller.
It sounds incredibly fun to watch, honestly.
Oh, it is thrilling. But we shouldn't just focus on the attacking spectacle, because the real genius of the Maple Press is actually what it has done for them defensively.
Wait, defensively? I thought it was all about scoring on the rush.
Well, by sitting in that compact shape and using those pressing triggers, they suppress high-leverage scoring opportunities. Since the 2024 Copa America, this system has transformed Canada into a total fortress. Since the start of 2025, they're conceding just 0.59 goals per game.
0.59. That is absurdly low.
It is an elite defensive metric. It means they basically stay in every single match. They don't need to score 3 goals to win if they keep a clean sheet. Just one blistering counterattack in the 85th minute wins them the game.
Wow. But playing like a high-performance engine constantly stuck in the red line, I mean, that comes with massive risks. And as we look at this roster, the engine is kind of already starting to sputter before the tournament even kicks off.
Yeah, there are some serious warning lights flashing.
Let's start with the sheer lack of mileage on these tires. Exactly half of this 26-man roster are World Cup debutants, and only 5 players on the entire team are in their 30s.
Which is a double-edged sword. Youth provides the boundless energy required for the press, but it sorely lacks the composure required for the moment. I mean, there's a massive psychological difference between pressing a team in a friendly match and pressing a team in front of 40,000 screaming Canadians who were expecting a literal miracle.
Yeah, that pressure has to be suffocating. And that lack of composure, it seems to be infecting the coaching staff as well, specifically regarding the goalkeeper position.
Yeah.
Like, we are days away from the tournament, and Marsh still hasn't picked a definitive number 1. He is still rotating them.
Which is pretty much a cardinal sin in international tournaments.
Oh.
A set defense needs a set goalkeeper.
Right. You've got the 32-year-old veteran Maxime Crepeau, and you really have to feel for the guy. I mean, he completely missed the 2022 World Cup because he suffered a horrific broken leg right before the tournament.
It was devastating.
It really was, and he battled all the way back. But then you also have 29-year-old Dane St. Clair from Inter Miami, who is arguably the better pure shot stopper.
He is. But the indecision itself is the real problem here. That goalkeeper indecision doesn't just result in, the occasional bad pass out of the back. It breeds deep paranoia in the defenders.
Because they don't know who's behind them.
Exactly. A backline needs to intimately know the tendencies of the man behind them. Will he rush out? Will he stay on his line? If the defenders are constantly guessing, they hesitate. And when defenders hesitate, they overcompensate to fix their mistakes, which leads us to a massive problem.
The discipline. Oh, man, the discipline. They are taking incredibly reckless penalties. It is just atrocious right now. 4 red cards in their last 8 matches.
It's alarming.
We just saw a completely unnecessary elbow to the head from Tajon Buchanan against Iceland. You simply can't do that at a World Cup.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, though,
Yeah.
those red cards are not random, isolated accidents. They're a direct, dangerous byproduct of the Maple Press system itself.
Wait, exactly? Why does the tactical system cause the elbows?
Because Marsh is asking these players to play with max-out aggression, right? To constantly swarm the opponent, to leave a foot in, to bump shoulders. When you are asking young, inexperienced players to live on the absolute adrenaline edge of controlled violence for 90 minutes.
They're going to snap.
Exactly. It is incredibly easy for them to cross the line into a reckless challenge. But here is the fatal flaw of the entire Canadian game plan. If they lose a man and go down to 10 players against a disciplined European side, the entire geometry of the Maple Press collapses.
Because you don't have enough bodies.
Right. You physically cannot execute a high-pressing trap with 10 men. The opponent will simply pass around you, and the system dies instantly.
That is a terrifying tightrope to walk. And the fallout from that physical, hyper-aggressive style isn't just leading to red cards from referees. It's quite literally tearing the players' muscles apart. The injury epidemic right now is staggering. They are falling apart physically.
It really threatens to undo all of Marsh's preparation.
Let's start with the captain, Alphonso Davies. Bayern Munich star, basically the global face of the franchise. He is dealing with a severe hamstring injury, which is just the latest in a miserable string of muscle issues since he tore his ACL back in March 2025.
Yeah, it's been a tough road for him.
It has, and he is officially ruled out of the opening match on June 12th. And he's not alone either. Key central defenders like Muricy Bombito, Derek Cornelius, and Alfie Jones are all nursing knocks right now. But the most devastating blow literally just happened days ago.
You're referring to Marcelo Flores.
Yes, the 22-year-old winger. I mean, he literally just found out he made the World Cup squad, which has to be the pinnacle of his life. And then on May 30, playing for Tigres in a club final down Mexico, he ruptures his ACL.
It's awful.
His tournament is over before it even begins.
It is a profound heartbreak for the young man, absolutely. But tactically, it robs Canada of a completely unique weapon. The source material highlights that Flores was their best slick dribbler. He was what we call a line-breaking tactician.
Meaning what, exactly? Like in practice?
Meaning, when the pure speed of the Maple Press isn't working, like when the opponent just packs all their defenders into the penalty box and refuses to leave any space behind them for Canada to run into, you need a player who can dribble the ball through incredibly tight spaces.
Someone to just weave through traffic?
Right. It's exactly. Beating 2 or 3 defenders in a phone booth to break the defensive line. Flores was that guy. He was a lockpicker. And now that entire tactical option is just erased from the playbook.
Wow. So now Marsh has this incredibly difficult decision to make before the final roster deadline. He has to name a replacement for Flores. And the debate seems to be down to two guys, right? Jayden Nelson from Austin FC and Ralph Priso. Now, Nelson makes total sense to me. He's a lightning-fast winger. He literally just scored in their 2-0 tune-up win against Uzbekistan. He is a direct attacking replacement.
True.
But Priso's a defender. Why on earth would you replace an attacking winger with a defensive player when you are already struggling to score against set defenses? Especially when you have German soccer legend Thomas Miller publicly out there in the press lobbying for Canada to pick Priso. Like, what does Miller see that I don't?
It really comes back to the structural demands of the system. Thomas Miller played against and deeply understands the specific Red Bull-style pressing systems that Jesse Marsch uses. Right. Miller knows that the Maple press requires immense tactical IQ. It's not just about running fast. It's about knowing exactly when to step up to trap the ball and when to hold the defensive line. Priso possesses that elite defensive intelligence.
So it's about making sure the press doesn't leak.
Precisely. Furthermore, because Canada's backline is currently decimated by those injuries to Bombito, Cornelius, and Jones, Marsch might not have the luxury of taking another attacker like Nelson. He desperately needs defensive cover just to make sure he can field a functional back four.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So for you listening, when you are watching this game on June 12th, keep your eyes on who steps onto the pitch. If Marsch selects Nelson, you know he's going all in on speed and hoping they can simply outscore their mistakes. But if it's Priso, you'll know Marsch is terrified of his own team's defensive fragility.
Exactly. It's a massive tell regarding the coach's mindset going into this.
So what does this all mean? We have a team with blazing speed, this aggressive new identity, but they are inexperienced, undisciplined, and kind of being held together by medical tape and hope. Let's look at the actual mountain they have to climb in Group B. It all kicks off June 12th, BMO Field in Toronto.
And their first test is Bosnia and Herzegovina, which is going to be a massive physical challenge. Bosnia plays a very direct, heavy aerial game.
Meaning they aren't going to try to pass it on the ground through Canada's press?
Exactly. They will try to bypass the Maple press entirely by just launching the ball 50 yards through the air over the heads of the Canadian forwards, aiming directly for their big physical strikers.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it completely neutralizes the speed of the press by taking the ball off the grass.
And we really shouldn't underestimate them either. I mean, they proved their mettle by knocking Italy out in a penalty shootout during qualifiers.
They're tough.
So after that slugfest, Canada flies west to Vancouver to play Qatar on June 18th.
Right. And Qatar will present a completely different puzzle. The tactical breakdown suggests Qatar will sit in a compact mid-block.
Okay, so for those unfamiliar with the tactical terminology, that basically means Qatar isn't going to press high up the field near Canada's goal, but they also aren't going to park the bus in front of their own goal.
Right, they meet in the middle.
They are going to clog the middle third of the field, creating this wall of bodies to suffocate the exact space Canada wants to sprint into.
Precisely. They will frustrate the Canadians, force them to play sideways, and just wait for a chance to punish them on set pieces like corner kicks or free kicks.
It's going to be a grind. But the real boss of this group, the team that honestly terrifies me, is on June 24th, back in Vancouver against Switzerland.
Without a doubt, Switzerland is the biggest tactical threat in Group B. They are incredibly solid defensively, but more importantly, they excel at short, controlled, rhythmic passing. And from a purely mechanical standpoint, that is the ultimate kryptonite to the Maple press.
Break down the geometry of that for me. Like, why does short passing destroy the press?
Okay, think of it this way. If two Canadian attackers sprint at full speed toward the Swiss player with the ball, they are committing their momentum and their bodies to that specific patch of grass.
Right.
If the Swiss player stays calm and just completes one quick 5-yard triangle pass around them to a teammate, those two Canadian forwards are now completely trapped behind the play.
Because they can't stop and turn fast enough.
Exactly. They took themselves out of the game. Suddenly, Switzerland is attacking the Canadian defense with a massive numerical advantage. The speed of the press is literally used against it.
Wow. It sounds incredibly daunting when you lay it out like that. But, and this is a massive bet, but despite the injuries, despite the youth, despite the red cards, the predictive data models are shockingly optimistic.
They really are.
They give Canada a massive 79.0% chance to qualify for the knockout stage, the round of 32, which is a feat they have literally never achieved in the history of the country.
It's huge. And the math heavily favors their defensive stability. The models look at that .59 goals against average and basically calculate that Canada simply won't get blown out. If they stay in every single match, the statistical probability of one of their 37-kilometer-an-hour wingers stealing the ball and scoring goes way up.
So, as a fan of global sports, just take a step back and marvel at the stakes for you as a viewer. Canada is bringing 9 guys who can sprint like Olympic track stars. They are utilizing this chaotic, thrilling, high-wire tactical system that demands they physically overwhelm the opponent. But they are limping onto their home soil, missing their captain for the opener, carrying immense disciplinary baggage, and just bearing the weight of an entire nation that expects a miracle.
This raises an important question, though, and it goes far beyond what happens on the field in Group B.
Oh.
Jesse Marsch didn't just change the senior team's tactics. He's attempting a top-to-bottom rewrite of Canadian soccer. But what happens if this gamble fails? I mean, if Canada's aggressive, physical maple press is completely dismantled by European passing on home soil, and they crash out of the tournament early in front of millions of new, impressionable fans.
Oh, wow. Didn't even think about that.
Exactly. Marsch threw out a decade of slow, possession-based youth development to implement this high-octane track meet. If they fail miserably on the biggest stage imaginable, does this massive tactical experiment permanently fracture the country's youth development pipeline? Do young Canadian players and grassroots academies lose entirely their identity and relationship with the sport?
That is a haunting thought. A total identity crisis disguised as a tactical shift. Honestly, June 12 really can't come fast enough.